This is a full training from our mastermind event in Dubai. We have got our next one coming up, 9th to 10th of February. Hit the link below if you want to be there, learn from the best in the world in person, and ready to moonshot your business next year. Hit the link below to sign up. Enjoy the training.
What I wanted to do with my life. All I knew is I wanted to move towards my full potential, and I wanted to do what made me come alive. And there's a great quote, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who come alive. So I knew that I wanted to move more towards things that make me come alive. And when I was 18 years old, I went to my first ever house music club. And I knew that music made me come alive. Now, the name of the club was Adrenaline. So you can imagine the kind of shit that went on in that club. Unfortunately, that was my first experience of that environment, music. And I went all in. And it took me all the way to London, first working in a chicken factory, then a dog and cat food factory, then working in a pub in Weybridge called the Ship Hotel. And eventually I made my way into the center of London, being a full-time DJ. You see, my view of success growing up, having so much lack, my view of success was having. If you don't have and you feel like a failure, then success is having. So by the age of 23, I thought I had it all. Rock star, DJing in Riga, Latvia, 2,500 people to the number one club in Riga, I was told, called Nautilus. Only to on the 1st of January, which now 20 years later is the best day of the year for me because I get to set my intentions for the whole year ahead. I get to reflect on the year that's just passed. Only this year, I was in my hotel after doing loads of things that I'm not proud of the night before, spending the first day of the new year on my own, not slept, feeling worse than I'd ever felt in my life. And in that moment, I had a massive realization that success wasn't about having. Because I had attention from girls wanting to kiss me behind the DJ decks, guys offering me drugs. I had everything around me. It looked like a success on the outside. But I realized that it wasn't about having, it was about doing. And I was doing the wrong things. And if I kept doing the same things, I just knew there's a potential that I'll end up like my father. Because my father was a great man. He was very popular. He was very loved. But he did the wrong things. He made the wrong decisions. So at 23 years old, I made a decision to make better decisions. I figured if I can get it wrong on my own, I went to the UK on my own, surely I can get it right. I just need to figure out what right is. So at 23, I got into personal development. I started reading books. I got a coach. I started changing my habits, my mindset, my thoughts, my environment, including the people in my environment. One of the questions I asked myself is, what else do I love? Because this is not working for me. I gave my Technics 1210 decks, 2 bags of records to a 13-year-old boy, and I said, here, it's yours. I'll never forget the day he came with his father. It was like the best Christmas present he ever got. But I knew that was not a good decision for me right now. And that was not a good environment. And I asked myself, what else do I love? And as I shared before, from when I was like 7 years old starting judo, it was sport and fitness. So I was in London at the time. I got a job in a gym called Gymbox. Who knows Gymbox? Yeah? Amazing. You kind of look familiar. I was there many, many years ago, and I got a job at Gymbox. And I think it's very important to just stop my story and just share. Most of you probably know this. When you know you want to do something, stay attached to the vision and don't worry about the how. I just knew I wanted a better life. I knew I wanted to move towards my full potential. Whatever that was, I just wanted to grow. And my why was I did not want to experience the suffering that I saw all around me growing up. I knew that life had to be more than suffering. And I went to this gym, and I was a DJ. That was my CV. I'd never had another job, and I walked into the gym in Gymbox Holborn, and the owner, Richard Hilton, said, what are you doing now? I said, I'm here for a sales job position. And he said, what's your experience? I said, I don't have any experience. He said, what do you do for a living? I said, I'm a DJ. And he just went, what the hell? And just as he's about to push me away and say, look, this is not for you, the other owner, David Cooper, comes up. Legend. And Richie Hilton goes, this guy, very sarcastic Jewish guy, and he's going, this guy's coming for a job and he's a DJ. And David goes, that's the DJ at the bar that I go to every single Friday. He's exactly what we need in this business. Anyway, long story, very short. Theory said that I shouldn't have got that job. But energy said that I would have got that job because I showed up. I brought the energy, and because I brought energy to the bar before, life showed up for me. I showed up for life, life showed up for me. I got the job, became top performing salesperson over 2 years, and they told me you should get the next gym, but here's the problem. You've been here the shortest amount of time, and you're the youngest of all the sales team. We can't give you the next gym, but here's a pat on the back. Maybe we'll give you the one after that. Now I'm 25 years old. I'm walking out the office. I'm going, 2 years ago, I felt lower than snake poop. I felt worthless. I felt useless. And now I'm being offered a GM position of the top gym in central London. I'm going, this is amazing. But man, I got myself to this place. And actually, I don't want this job. I don't want to work for someone else. But if I can go from here to there in just 2 years, from absolutely rock bottom to where I am now, which is bulletproof, unshakable, unbreakable confidence, man, this feels good, and I want to show people how to do this for the rest of their life. And I've done nothing else since. I've not had a part-time job. I've not done this part-time since 25 years old to 42. All I've done is figure out, how do we improve? How do we get better? Find out what works. Experientially, I know it works. It's not something that I read in a book or listened to in a podcast or watched in a Tony Robbins video. I know it works because I've done it myself. And then I've made it my obligation to share it with people. And I'm blessed to be able to do that with you now after doing it for almost 20 years. I barely passed high school. I've written 10 books. You can find some of my books on Amazon. As Charlie says, I've ordained as a Buddhist monk. You trying to show me something? No. What's that? Oh, cool. I thought you were trying to show me something. I'm like, I'm in the middle of a talk, dude. I have traveled the world. I have represented Tony Robbins. I have ran one-day events in the UAE, Europe, Norway, Sweden, Africa, where they say, oh, it's a Tony Robbins event. And in the corner it says, by a Tony Robbins trainer. But I was that guy coming from where I grew up. I've won awards, Health Coach of the Year. I've done lots of amazing things. I've climbed the Great Wall of China, conquered all my fears, became a professional Muay Thai fighter when I was 27 years old. Fighting A-class Thai rules, knees, elbows, the art of the 8 limbs, arguably the most dangerous martial arts in the world. To all the BJJ guys in the room, they're probably going to disagree, because usually they do. But when I was 25 years old, I started working on my doing, and I started doing better things. And every year I kept doing. And one of my goals was, from growing up feeling useless, worthless, unworthy, not enough, I got into Muay Thai and I thought, you know what, one day I want to have a belt around my waist. I don't care where it's from. It's not about the belt. It's about what it represents. It's not about the bank balance. It's about what it represents. Your physique isn't about your body fat percentage. It's about what it represents. Everything in life is not about the thing. It's the thing about the thing. And I knew I will have a Muay Thai belt around my waist one day. But I never made it a priority in my 20s. I just kept it in my vision. Because for me, my number one priority was to give my family the life that I never had. So I kept putting it off while I built this amazing coaching and speaking business, going around the world, speaking in 17 countries. And then at 36, I realized, man, I've gone from having to doing, and I've done all these amazing things in my life, but I still don't have that belt. And I really want that belt. So at 37 years old, I said, this is my year. You know, I can slow down on the business side. I've proved what I needed to prove. My father, looking down, would say, JP, you've exceeded what was expected from you. And now I'm going to go in on my number one passion, which is sport. and I'm going to see how well I can do in Muay Thai. So on the 1st of January, in a very different way, maybe 15 years later, I write out my values, I write out my goals, my intentions for the year. And I said, this is the year of Muay Thai. JP getting into Muay Thai and seeing how far we can get. January, end of January, first fight. I win TKO, 3rd round. Next fight, March 2019. I win 3rd round, TKO. As you can probably see, I've got some crazy ass legs, right? So I just knee people till they can't put up with it anymore. 2 fights, TKO. The promoter of MTGP in the UK, very, very big Muay Thai organization, a friend of mine, says, you do 3 or 4 more like that, and I'll put you up for a bout. I'm like, here we go, baby. Here we go. This thing that I've wanted for so long and what it represents, it's finally coming true. I just needed to get clear, and I needed to take action in alignment with that clarity or that goal. May 2019. Training for my next fight. I'm doing challenges with my clients. I always encourage my coaching clients to stretch themselves way beyond what they think is possible. And one of my clients had just lost his mother to cancer. And I said, well, you know how it works. You've got to choose a stretch goal. I said, what do you want to stretch yourself into this year? And he said, I want to cycle. Now, this is a recruitment leader, not into fitness. He said, I want to cycle from the north of Scotland all the way to the south of England. It's called John O'Groats to Land's End. It's 1,000 miles in 10 days. And like I usually do, I said, I'll do it with you. Let's do it together. And we start May 2019, and we cycle about 100 miles a day, just over. It's going so well. He's so inspired. I'm so inspired. We're so inspired. We're sharing the experience. We're raising money for charity. And on the 8th day, bang, I'm going downhill and I'm hit head on by a drunk 4 times over the limit driver, already disqualified from driving, had stolen the car from his girlfriend and wasn't even insured. To this day, I have no memory of that accident. I have post-traumatic amnesia. I was this close to losing my life. I have metal rods in my legs. I broke my arms as well. I have metal rods in my right arm. I had punctured lungs, heart trauma, internal injuries. I've had surgery on my bowel. When I finally came to, 2 weeks in intensive care, and I woke up, the doctor said, I don't know how you are alive, but I knew why I was alive. And that's because I always create meanings for everything I've gone through in my life. My father had to go through that experience so I could be who I was. And I had to go through this experience so that I could inspire even more people and encourage even more people to go after their full potential, their best life, and be absolutely non-negotiable around it. So lying in that hospital bed for the next 2 months and spending 8 months on crutches, just learning how to walk again, I knew that I'm going to use this example to show people that one thing that happens to you in your life doesn't define your life. I'm sure you've all heard that quote, and I'm probably paraphrasing here, but it's not what happens to you, it's what you do with what happens to you. So here I am being told that, oh, you know what, you might be able to get back to a normal existence. You should be okay. You know, your injuries shouldn't affect you. And I'm thinking in my mind, I want to do another Ironman triathlon. What they're thinking is not what I'm thinking. What I want from this experience is way more than what they expect from me, or even what they hope for me. And I took everything that I'd learned since the age of 23 and I put it into practice. And trust me, I lay in that hospital bed thinking if it was going to happen to anyone, I'm grateful that it happened to me. Because it felt like every single thing in my life was a setup for that moment. And to this day, people have said that the thing that inspires me most about your journey and following you over the years is how you took on this accident, which wasn't an accident. I don't think if I had the accident, I'd be standing in front of you. I probably wouldn't have met Charlie. Everything happens on purpose. And I took that and I created that experience and I created a very, very powerful purpose to show people that, like you just said, anything is possible. Anything is possible. And in the next year, I just focused 100% on my recovery. I focused on my vision. And I didn't let other people's opinions get in my way or determine my reality of what my experience was. I created my own reality, and we get to do that every single day. We create our world. Our thoughts create our reality. Buddha said, what we think, we become. And I kept thinking who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. A year later, I climbed the 4th highest mountain in the world. Still, my legs seriously mashed up. I climbed to the top of Kilimanjaro, the roof of my continent, the roof of Africa. A year and a half after my accident, 6 months later, I ran 3 marathons in 24 hours. And I started getting back to this doing thing. I started getting back to what I'd always done, or at least what I'd done for many years. But something was missing. You see, I'd gone from having to doing. Now I had this accident that wasn't an accident, it was awakening. You see, I have no memory of the accident. So for a year in recovery, I kept thinking, I would have just existed, cycling my motorbike, and then all of a sudden, bang, JP doesn't exist. It wasn't like I'd get a final goodbye or anything. It was just, that's it, you're gone. Because there's no memory. So I thought, man, if life is this fragile, and can be taken away without you even knowing that you're gone. There's no consciousness around, this is the end of my life, what do I think or what did I regret? No, gone. You don't exist. I thought, I need to go all in on my life. But you see, I'd already done everything I wanted to do. Conquered my fears, spoken on stages, been a professional athlete, multiple disciplines. But why did I feel like there was something still missing? And that was when I realized the truth of success and real success, which is happiness. I know plenty of people, I've worked with plenty of people that have tons of money, but they're miserable. I'm not saying that money isn't important. I love money. But you got to be happy with the money that you have, whether it's $1 or $100 or $1 million. One of my friends is a multimillionaire. He says, JP, I don't think that unless you are happy, you are never successful. Because I know people with way more money than me that I wouldn't swap my life. What does he say? I wouldn't swap my life with for all the tea in China. I realized the real recipe for happiness and success. And it's not what you have, it's not what you do, although what you do is pretty cool. Now, what you achieve in your life is pretty cool. But what determines how happy you are at a cellular level, at your core, is who you are being. And it took me from doing, always being in action, achieving, to being put on my ass, not being able to do, to be able to give myself the space to realize that actually there was a better way, and that was who I was being. And in my recovery, I couldn't do coaching, I couldn't do speaking, I couldn't do traveling. So I said, okay, if I can't do this, rather than sit as a victim, what can I do? I thought, well, I can't work on my mind much, I can't work on my body at all. Why don't I go work on my spirit? So I went and lived with a Shaolin monk. He wasn't famous then, he is now, Shi Heng Yi, all over social media. And I went and lived with him and studied Kung Fu and meditation and Buddhism for 2 weeks. I went and lived for 16 days in silence in a Vipassana retreat with no human or outside world communication or interaction, just sitting in meditation for 10 to 11 hours a day, even though I was still on morphine in extraordinary pain. I sat through the pain to find equanimity, to find peace in not chasing the future or running away from the past, but being here now. Finding my being, finding my identity without doing and without having. And eventually I went and studied and ordained as a Buddhist monk, not as a midlife crisis, but I'm obsessed about finding out how can we achieve our full potential. And as I said, it's about being. And in life, and the topic of this talk, you've got to be non-negotiable around your happiness. Because if you're not non-negotiable, you're negotiable. If you're not non-negotiable around what makes you feel happy and successful, you're going according to what social media says, what your peers say, what your city or your environment community says, what your parents said you should have done, been, had. So in my recovery, I realized that I was not walking my talk, which is something that I pride myself on. But I realized by not being able to be on that bullet train, I realized not being able to look outside the window, now being stopped and lying on my bed, I realized that I was not being a person of my word and I wasn't being non-negotiable. You see, for me, there's certain things in my life that I kept putting off. One was Muay Thai. Okay, I tried to go for it at 37, but I knew that I'd put it off for a long time. Two, I've ran retreats in Thailand for 11 years, 17 retreats, pretty much almost 2 retreats a year. And every time I would be in Thailand, I would think, man, I want to spend more time here. I was coming to Dubai to speak all the time, and every time I was in Dubai, I was thinking, man, I'd love to spend more time here. But because I lived my life up until this point, focusing on doing and not being, I ended up being there for everyone else and not myself. So, long story made very short, after doing all that spiritual work and realizing that it wasn't about having or doing, it was about who you were being, I became, I'm conscious that we're in the UAE, effing non-negotiable at whatever cost. Because I knew, more than ever in my life, you're going to die. And JP, if you only have 1 more year to live, what matters most is who you're being. It's who you are in your own identity versus what you're achieving on the outside and how you look on the outside. So I became absolutely non-negotiable, to the point that a marriage that looked perfect on the outside, I ended. Because I was kept in the UK in a place that rains pretty much all the time when all I wanted to do was live in the sun. I mean, now in hindsight, this sounds freaking ridiculous. I lived there for 20 years. What was I doing? I wasn't being non-negotiable around my happiness. I was pleasing others and making sure that I was keeping other people happy. I set up residency in my business in Dubai and then realized actually I can live in Dubai and in Thailand. Moved to Thailand. And now I live in Thailand and come to Dubai as often as possible. And I help people now not just work on what they have in their life and what they're doing, but I help people to change their identity, because when you change your identity, everything else changes. When you change who you are at your core, you start to shine. As fluffy as it sounds, you start to shine brighter on the outside. People can tell, man. When you are living in your being, when you are living in your identity, people can tell when you walk into the room, because energy is contagious. So how do we become non-negotiable? First of all, we need to know what it takes to become non-negotiable. Now, out of interest, just to make sure that actually this is valuable to some people here, who here knows already, not feels or thinks, knows at your core that there's some areas of your life or even one area that you could be more non-negotiable about? Okay, amazing. This is really going to help you all rather than making assumptions. I really hope this helps you a lot. It's taken me 40 years or 20 years as a coach to figure this out. It's taken me the 16 days of silence, the ordaining as a Buddhist monk, the doing everything that I've done to be able to figure this out and give it to you in the simplest way possible. But before I do that, as I said, I knew I needed to be more non-negotiable. So I ended my marriage. I moved to Thailand. And at 42 years old, actually 40 when I arrived, when people told me, oh, you should be lucky when you get back to a normal life. You know, you shouldn't do any dangerous sport. You shouldn't push yourself too hard. You're too old for martial arts, for Muay Thai anyway. You can do jiu-jitsu till you're 80. Probably will. You can't do this, you can't do that. Here's why you can't do it. I said, look here, that's your opinion, but it's exactly what it is. It's an opinion. I trained and I trained and I trained and I trained. And I told everyone, I will have a belt. 41 years old. What? This guy is like gray all over his beard. He wants a Muay Thai belt. One of my friends won a belt a year ago. I said, dude, can you do me a favor? Let's take a picture together. Took a picture with the belt in the middle. I went home, I cropped him out of the picture and me holding the belt. And 1 month ago, I got back into the ring because I trained so hard, and I trained with one championship fighters because of the relationship with my gym. I actually coach one championship fighters. On the 22nd of December, one of my athletes is training. You might even see me in the ring. If he wins, obviously, I get to stand in the ring with him. But putting myself in the right environment, being non-negotiable about who I was going to be, which is a champion, I finally, after 15 years, got my belt. Thank you. And thank you so much. 15 years, more, 18 years. And this is a stadium belt, right? I'm not going to BS you. This is not a one championship belt or rebellion. It's a stadium belt. It's a local stadium belt. And you can say, oh, it's not a UFC belt. Yeah, no, it's a belt that required me to, at 42 years old, do a full A-class Muay Thai fight in a stadium with 500 people where you got a chance of getting knocked out and even killed, elbowed to the face. Yes, it's that belt. And I'm okay with that. And it's my first, hopefully, of many belts. I've got an injury in my leg. I've got an injury, I can't close my hand yet, but I'm already training for my next fight. So if you want to follow that journey, follow me on Instagram, is where I share most of my life. But once again, this is not about the belt. It's about what it represents. So who are you going to be? What is that belt that you're looking for? What is that thing that you're chasing? And are you going for it non-negotiably? Are you doing whatever it takes? Are you asking permission? Or are you asking forgiveness? Are you just going for it anyway? This is one of my many books that I've written. Great book, Psychological Skills for Self-Confidence. I know I didn't have confidence growing up, so I know it's a skill. Anyone can learn it. And this book has many, many skills for you to learn on self-confidence. Who would like this book? Okay. Hey, Daniel! Okay, give him a round of applause. Okay, so I don't have many books here, but I have a few. And the example I just used, I think Daniel seen me speak again, so you knew what to do. You saw me speak before, so you knew what to do there. Yeah, the example is, don't wait for your what you want to come to you, even if it is a book. Don't wait for the book to come to you. Go get it. So I have some more books here if anyone wants them. Yeah. Oh, you took two. Oh, there you go. Oh, cool. All right, give me a round of applause. Let's crack on. Okay, so you can find that book on Amazon. It's just a fun little game and a free gift. By the way, sometimes we already know what to do and we just don't do what we know. Sometimes it's good to be reminded. Would you agree? So for 10 years, I've been giving out these wristbands that say, be extraordinary. Sometimes you just need to remind yourself a little bit, hey man, who are you being, JB? You're not quite being the person you said you were going to be, or that talk that you're using internally, that's not quite being the person that you said you wanted to be, or the person that you need to be. So I have a few of these available as well. We'll wait for after the talk. No, after the talk. Yeah, in life you need both persistence and patience. Okay, so there's my story. I hope there's some value in that. I trust there is some value, even inspiration in that. So this is how you build self-confidence. When you can tick off these boxes, you will have the confidence to be who you really want to be. And notice how I said be, not do. Be, not have. The first one is clarity. To build self-confidence, you need clarity. Clarity on what? Number one, your values. Now, we're going from a story and a talk to content. So I encourage you to write this down. Number one is clarity. Clarity on what you want and what you don't want. Otherwise said as values. Who here has a very strong values elicitation or values clarity exercise? Wow, 2 people. Okay, if you DM me on Instagram the word values, I will send you a book on values, understanding why it is everything. If someone asked me, what do you teach? I would say one thing. If I could only answer one thing, I would say values. How to align your life to your values. And let me tell you, this was taught to me by one of my brother monks. If your life doesn't match your values, suffering appears. The bigger the gap, the more the suffering. Right? Because you're not living in your purpose. So understanding your values, by no exaggeration, is everything. Write the word, go to my Instagram, Jean-Pierre de Villiers, or type in JPDV, it should come up. The word values, and I will send you a link. It has a book on values in English and Arabic, and it has a values elicitation exercise. I'm not asking you for an email or anything like that. It's just a link, and I'll send it to you as a free gift. So number one on clarity is, what are your values? Now, why is this important? Because your values are what you choose to stand for. Everything in our life comes down to our decisions. And to know whether we are making the right decisions or the wrong decisions, we've got to know what we want to stand for and what we don't want to stand for. Now, related to confidence, if you don't know what you stand for nothing, or you stand for what everyone else says you should stand for. And that will break you spiritually. Because I went down that path, and I'm sure some of you here have too. Oh, I should do this, or I should do that. You end up shooting all over yourself. You've got to know what you stand for, and then you can move more towards that. Number 2 is you need to know your vision. Who here visualizes with intensity? Charlie, no surprise. 1, 2 people. Okay, I'm probably going to say this like 4 more times, but if there's only one thing you take away from this talk, it's know the vision for your life. If you look at it like this, point A on your life path is your values. If you want to feel happier now, more successful in this moment, I'm simplifying it by a massive degree, but it's understand what you value and live that life every day. If you value family, freedom, fitness, financial independence, and fun, if you can tick off those 5 boxes every day, no one can tell you that you are not successful and happy, because you are living out, expressing the things that are most important to you. And it doesn't matter what comes or goes, you're still living in those highest values. That's number 1. But life is not just about being, it's about purpose. So how do we know what to move towards? And that brings us to B, and that's the vision. It's what do you want to get out of your life? One of my friends and teachers, one of the teachers from the movie The Secret, Lisa Nichols, says your vision is the line between your birth date and your death date on your death stone. Is that what it's called? A death stone? That's not right. That sounds... Death stone? Gravestone, tombstone. There you go. Your death stone. It's that dash. What did your life stand for? What is the vision for your life? Now, here's a great recipe for happiness and success. Match your values to your vision. Now, how do you do that? Well, you've got to choose a mission. Our mission is our vehicle. That mission can change. How many times can that mission change? Anyone want to shout it out? How many times can you change your mission? As many times as you want. All right? Some people say, oh, JP, you're always changing what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, you're stuck in the same job for 20 years. You're overweight and you're miserable. So maybe change is good. And the only thing that is constant in life is change itself. So the mission is not your identity. When you make your mission your identity, that's when you have more suffering. Because if your business doesn't go well, or your job doesn't go well, or worse, you get fired, or you go bankrupt, now you have no identity. Because your identity was wrapped up in this, when actually your mission is only a vehicle. And you get to change that vehicle as often as possible. I always use the example of an action movie. The action movie, you see Dwayne Rock Johnson or whoever, and they're going through the city in a car, and then all of a sudden there's a traffic jam. They don't sit there and they go, oh, damn it. They jump out of the car, they kick someone off a motorbike, and they get onto the motorbike, and then they swing across the building, they change the vehicle. They do whatever it takes to keep getting to the vision or the goal. So, do you need to change your vehicle, or do you need to change something about your vehicle? So A, values. B, vision. 3, mission. What is the vehicle that I'm choosing? My values are sports, service, success, sanctuary, and service. Or speaking. Sports, speaking, service, success, and sanctuary. In no particular order, those are just my 5 S's. Those are the values for my life now. My vision is to inspire people to live their full potential, to stay strong, keep moving, and never settle. What's my vehicle? Not my identity, but my vehicle is to coach and to speak and to be an athlete. That is my current vehicle. Probably at some point I can't do Muay Thai. Who knows, I might stop speaking because I might want to retire on the farm that I now have in Thailand, or that I'm building on the land I have. Maybe I won't want to coach anymore. I've been coaching already for 20 years, but it doesn't matter. It's not my identity. It's only the vehicle. So does the vehicle match your values and your vision? If it doesn't, find a way to get that accomplished. Because why? When your mission matches your vision and your values, confidence goes up. When you live your life in your values, confidence goes up. When you know every day, at the end of your day, in the beginning of the day, you're working towards your vision, confidence goes up. When you're fulfilled in a meaningful mission, confidence goes up. And the fourth pillar, is because, like Mike Tyson famously says, everyone has a plan until you get punched in the face. You've got to wrap this around a powerful purpose. Because what's going to happen in life and in business is this. And what a powerful purpose does, it allows you to keep more emotionally stable. Let's call it that. To stay more emotionally controlled, to be able to calm your emotions so you're not all over the place because you have a strong why. I was watching Charlie this morning with, 10 minutes to start. It looked like there was no one here. Now we have a crowded room. And there was lots going on. The technology wasn't working. And Charlie's like this. Hey, man, how you doing? Actually, it's more like this. Yeah. Yeah. You got some clip in your back or over tight bra or something. No, I'm joking. I'm just jealous, bro. Why? Because he's probably tapped into, this is not my identity. My identity is what he said, or his identity is what he said when he came up here. My goal is to give you the best value that you can possibly have and leave here with. So this, like your why is everything. Because when the why is clear enough, and I know this is a cliched saying, but it's worth saying. When the why is strong enough, the how takes care of itself. I didn't know how I was going to get that belt. I just knew the why. And it was to inspire people. It's not a coincidence that when I shared the belt online, we're not trying to come up with the best 5 tips or tricks or secrets or failures. I just put a picture of the belt and said, thanks for the support, love you. And I got more engagement, more likes on that post because people understood my journey to getting that belt, my story to getting that belt. So this is clarity, only clarity. Having clarity on these 4 things, values, vision, mission, purpose, will boost your confidence massively if and when you are aligning your life to that clarity. Because knowing and not doing is the same as not knowing. Actually, it's worse. Because you know what to do and you're still not doing it, so you're not a person of your word. And maybe you want to write this down, up to you. That when you are not a person of your word, your confidence decreases and your well-being decreases. From sports psychology and performance psychology, tests and studies have shown that when you set a goal and you don't achieve it, it's not that you don't get improvement. It's your confidence and well-being actually decreases. So being a person of your word is everything. If you want to at least keep your confidence the same, you're better off, theoretically, you're better off not setting goals. And I'm being playful there, but what I mean is, if you set goals and you don't go for them, every single time, in the back of your head, Sammy or Daniel or whatever your name is, in the back of your head, this voice goes off and says, hey, you're not a person of your word. You can't achieve your goals, or you've done it again. Said you're going to do something and not followed through. And every single time this happens, you stack evidence. Set a goal, don't achieve it. Stack evidence. I can't do it, or I won't do it, or I'm not prepared to do it, or I'm not prepared to take risks. And then it happens again, stack up evidence, stack up evidence, stack up evidence. Eventually you've got so much evidence that you make your identity, I can't. But when you set goals and you achieve them, it doesn't matter how big the goal. It can be to wake up and have a coffee. I've studied performance psychology. I've worked with athletes. I work with athletes. It can be my goal is to get up and have a coffee after drinking a half a liter or a liter of water. The brain doesn't see the size of the goal. It only sees you did or you didn't achieve the goal. So by having goals that are non-negotiable, you actually instill and build extraordinary confidence. But you've got to actually achieve them, not just tick them off. So this is clarity. The next thing that gives you confidence is courage. Courage produces confidence. Don't wait to be courageous. Make courage a practice. Set yourself stretch goals. Obviously, my last professional fight was years ago. Now that I've done that professional fight, I have more confidence to train for the next one. Because you have what? Evidence. All beliefs have to be stacked by evidence. Otherwise, they're what's called a BS belief. It's just something that you went in an event and you're like, oh, this is what I believe. But deep down, you don't. Because there's no evidence supporting the belief. And if there's no evidence, you'll find yourself believing something or saying something and then not acting out on what it is that you're thinking or saying. And then you wonder, why do I not follow through? Why do I not follow through? And it's because deep down there's a belief that you can't actually do this because there's no evidence. So how do you make courage a practice? Every year, set a stretch goal. Set a goal so big that you don't actually believe you can achieve it. Now, what would happen is because our life matches our beliefs. If you set a goal that you don't believe you can achieve, by achieving it, you have to believe something different. Is that fair to say? If you don't believe you can achieve a goal and you achieve it, it means that your beliefs have to change. Then if what we think we become, what we believe is what our reality is, then it means that our life will change because our beliefs have now changed. So every year, set a stretch goal that is so big that you don't believe you can achieve it. By achieving it, you become someone new, become someone better. And imagine if you only did that one time a year. You're scared of heights more than anything in the world, of falling, so you jump out of a plane. You're scared of being seen, so you hop on a stage. You're scared of confrontation, so you do a charity boxing match. You're scared of putting yourself out, the real you, into the world, so you write a book. Imagine if you only did that one time every year, who you could be 5 years from now. 5 identity levels higher by going 5 levels deeper and looking at what you're most afraid of. So here's how you set stretch goals. Look at what you're afraid of and find a goal that faces that fear. Another way to create courage in your life as a practice is to do something every day that makes you uncomfortable. And looking at most people in this room, if not all, I think this is part of your nature, really, right? Doing something that's uncomfortable. And that can be a workout. It can be a meeting. It can be a call. But every time you do something that is outside your comfort zone, again, it's not about the thing. It's the thing about the thing. No magic was ever created in comfort. And Nelson Mandela, my first ever hero, famously said that there is no passion to be found in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. There is no passion to be found. Why? Because without passion there is no purpose, and without purpose there is no life. There is only existence. Real life, where we come alive, is when we fully throw ourselves into life and live a full experience of life, sliding into our grave at the end of our life going, what a ride. That is where passion is to be found. So what is that for you? Where do you want to or need to have more courage? Or better yet, coming from NLP background, choosing better words, where do you need to be more courageous? Where do you need to encourage yourself? Where do you need to give yourself courage? Or who can you get around you that would encourage you? Because everything that we want in life is on the other side of fear. And fear is not real except for loud noises and falling. Everything else is created within ourselves through our own life experiences. But we can undo those experiences. Yes, it's harder the older you get, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. Everyone told me that I shouldn't be able to do a professional fight at 42. But that was an opinion. It didn't mean that it wasn't possible. So make courage a daily practice. This for me, I've been speaking for over 10 years. But speaking to a room full of people that are jacked and stacked, of course it requires a little bit of courage. I'd be an idiot not to go home and journal and reflect on this and say, hey, tick for the evidence box. I can speak to a room full of high performance people that I don't know, that don't know me, that might judge me, etc. Evidence. Keep stacking the evidence. You don't want to go to the gym and do a certain thing at the gym? Do it. Stack up the evidence. But keep stacking up the evidence. Because we're writing that book every day of whether we can or whether we can't. And that belief of whether we can or whether we can't comes down to one thing, like a judge in a courtroom making a decision. The decision is made on one thing and one thing only, evidence. So keep stacking up that evidence. So now you've got clarity, you've got courage. Is this good so far? You know, you've got clarity, you've got courage. And this is not a one-time affair. You keep doing this over and over and over and over again. It's about your being. It's not about doing this one time. It's about being this. It's about being confident, being someone that's non-negotiable on living in their values, being in your vision, being in your mission, being in your purpose. Now, the next thing that you want that will create more self-confidence, whether for you or your clients or your students or your family, your friends, it doesn't matter. It works the same for everyone, is compassion. Here's why I had the courage to make the changes that I need to make the decisions that I had to make or wanted to make in my life. From doing Muay Thai to moving to Thailand, people probably judging me for moving to Thailand, for becoming a monk, people probably judging me for that. Obviously, I'm not a monk right now. I did it as a life experience. I left monkhood last year, October, to cover my body in tattoos. It all requires one thing, and it's actually the one thing that would solve every problem in the world. War, suicide, greed, anger, resentment, abuse, physical, mental, emotional, sexual, and it's compassion. But related to this example right now, compassion is giving yourself permission. Having worked with people one-to-one for 20 years, I can tell you, not speaking to you, but speaking generally, that when people love themselves fully, they will never ever settle. You just won't. You won't settle in your relationships. If you loved yourself to the point that you could feel the love, the energy of love overflowing out of you every day, you would never settle in your relationship, your job, your business, with the clients you have, with the students you have, with the team that you have. You just won't. Because you will never feel in lack or need or scarcity. Because you'll feel, I love myself so much that I already have enough. And of course, if you follow the law of attraction, or if you follow physics, and the teachings of Einstein and many great teachers that came after him, that when you put yourself in that energy of have enough, the universe keeps delivering more. You know, I don't know how it happened, but I won that. I don't know how it happened, but I have a farm in Thailand. I don't know how it happened, but I have a beautiful family. I don't know how it happened, but I'm partnering with someone to buy a hotel now with no money down. I don't know how. I just put myself in the permission to live my life the way I wanted to, and put myself in the energy of abundant love. And just more abundance just keeps coming. And it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. And it's about being compassionate, not doing compassion. You can do compassion and go to the mirror and say, I love you, you're amazing, you're fantastic. But if you don't feel it on the inside, it's not going to It's not going to manifest energetically. Physics is about seeing it and then believing it. Faith is about believing it and then seeing it. When you believe deep down that you can have everything that you want, you will see it. Because to quote Albert Einstein, if you are being the identity that you believe you can be, or the person you believe you can be, that is the energy that you radiate every day. And Einstein said that when you match the frequency of the reality that you want, you cannot help but get it. This is physics. This is not philosophy. So what do you want to be in your life? And are you giving yourself the compassion? Are you being compassionate enough to give yourself the permission to have this? Because I know from my own personal experience, it took me a long time to get some of the things that I wanted to achieve in my life and to be the person that I wanted to become. Why? Because if I'm not giving myself permission, no one else is going to do it for me. If I'm not giving myself permission to be happy and fulfilled and truly successful on the inside versus on the outside, no one else is going to give it to me. So I can keep doing the outside stuff and still feeling lack and uncertainty and even unsafety, because we keep doing these things on the outside, but we still don't feel safe because we're not actually full. And when you're empty, you don't feel safe. So you've got clarity to get confidence. You've got courage. You need compassion. What is a great practice for compassion? Anyone just want to shout it out? Yeah, so compassion for self. Yeah, so loving yourself enough. I mean, that's a good practice actually, because when you give to others, the energy that you're in is, I have enough. I don't lack. Because when you're in lack, you don't give. And this is the problem with the world. Without trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist, if people love themselves at the top, they would just want to do good for others, because that's what you do. When you love yourself and you're overflowing, you want to give that overflow to others. So what's another practice for compassion? Absolutely. Forgiveness. You know, when I had that accident, I have no memory. When I was told I was hit by a drunk hit-and-run driver, I said, that's okay. He clearly isn't in a bad place in his life. And you can type in the words Jean-Pierre de Villiers forgiveness, if you don't believe me, and you can see a whole report that went viral on the court case with my driver, went viral. Because I said to the judge, can I stand up and share something? And I said to him, look, obviously there's repercussions for what you did, but I don't wish you any bad. I hope you use your time in prison to become the person that you need to be, to better yourself, to work on yourself. But yeah, forgiveness is, it gives you so much lightness. It removes the heaviness from your life. Once again, referring to Nelson Mandela, not for a lack of role models, but because he's my greatest role model. He said, resentment and anger is like drinking poison and expecting it to kill your enemy. It's not compassionate. Anger is the opposite of compassion, because the only thing it does is it kills you. It kills your spirit. Another practice for compassion, I'm looking for one. Absolutely. Gratitude, and one more. Absolutely. Yep. Self-care is self-love. Self-care is self-love. One more. Meditation. Self-respect. Yeah. Anyone here meditate? When I left monkhood, my teacher monks, like a Shaolin movie, said, what will you take from this experience? And I simply said to them, sitting at a table in the forest in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I said, everything else comes after meditation. Because meditation makes everything better. It will make everything better in your life. I don't have time to go into it, but that is my promise to you. Meditation makes everything better. Mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Why? Because it brings in insane amounts of gratitude into your life, insane amounts of presence into your life. In a meditation once, I had a realization that the true wealth of life comes from the ability to absorb everything you can from each and every moment of life. Because imagine a 10-minute window goes by. If you're able to absorb every single thing from that 10 minutes, you're a very rich man or woman. Whereas some people have all the money in the world and they don't even see this 10 minutes because all they're focusing on is the stress of this or the vision of that. And they're poor because they don't know how to experience life. But that is an amazing practice for self-compassion, giving yourself the time to be. Saying I don't have time to meditate means I don't have time for myself. And the greatest meeting you will ever have is the meeting with yourself. Dhanapani, a monk that I spoke with once, he said, meditation is a meeting with your own energy. And Einstein, taken from spirituality to physics, Einstein said everything is energy. So the most important meeting in the world is meeting your own energy. And then lastly, it's community. To be around people that allow you to have the permission, to have the courage, and to have the clarity to be who you really want to be. To become non-negotiable. The community, the tribe, the family around you, to hold your feet to the fire when it matters. The easiest way for me to become a champion of any kind is to get around champions. Get into people, get into environments, not that are you, that you can grow into. And I look forward to being in this environment for the next 2 days, because I'm seeing the speakers, and I'm seeing Chris, who I can't wait to see speak, because I've seen the episode that he did with Chris Spearman. Yeah, is that ours? Yeah. I can't wait for that. I can't wait for the other speakers. I can't wait for anyone else that's going to get up and share something, because I'm here to grow into you. There's parts of you and there's certain examples of you that I still want to grow into. And it's important for us to always be in these environments, because otherwise, if we're not growing into something, we're dying to something. And in life, we're either growing or dying. There's no staying still. Even if you think you're staying still, you're dying, because everything else and everyone else is growing around you. So, who are those people in your life that you are able to grow into? Do you need to get more of those people? And here's the real truth. Who do you need to get out of your environment? Who do you need to step away from? Who in your family do you need to love, but from over here? Because they're not allowing you to give yourself permission. Because they're not making you feel courageous. Because they're reducing the compassion that you have for yourself just by settling for having those people in your life. And even if that means a relationship, I don't know. But it was for me. There was nothing wrong with her, but being in my relationship, I couldn't become the person that I needed to be. And who do you need to speak to? Where do you need to have a conscious or a courageous conversation around the clarity that you have for your life and who you want to be? Because what they have in mind and what they want you to do is not necessarily who you want to be. Only you know who you want to be, and it's by doing this work. And I promise you this, after 20 years and everything that I've done and everything that I teach today, that when you be this and you show up for yourself in every way, life will keep showing up for you, because it's done so for me. I hope that you, with this clarity, with this courage, with this compassion and permission, I hope that you, through every challenge that you ever face, are able to stay strong, keep moving, and never, ever, ever settle. I never will, and I hope you do the same. Let's all go inwards, continue to do that inner work, so that we can go onwards and upwards, to elevate beyond our own limitations, transcend our own self that's keeping us stuck, transcend our own limitations on the external, and be the person that we know we can be. Thanks so much for having me. I look forward to hanging out with you guys for 2 days.